I remember the night my soul finally gave up pretending. I was standing in the hospital bathroom, staring at my reflection under the cold fluorescent light. My eyes looked hollow, my skin pale from years of sleepless nights, and I whispered to myself, I cannot do this anymore. I had spent years caring for others as a nurse, yet inside I was crumbling. Nobody knew about the bitterness I carried against God. Nobody knew about the pills I took to numb the pain, or the silent screams that filled my chest after every shift. I felt abandoned by heaven, forgotten by the God I once prayed to as a little girl. That night, I made a decision I thought I would never make. I whispered, "If you are real, God, then why does my life feel like hell already?" I had no idea that the real answer was waiting for me in the most terrifying place imaginable. Before I continue, I just want to pause and say something very important. To every single one of you watching, I deeply appreciate you. Thank you to all who have subscribed, and thank you to every new and returning viewer who is yet to subscribe. I cannot wait for you to hit that subscribe button because your support is the fuel and energy that keeps this channel going. Please remember to engage, share your thoughts in the comments, and help spread these testimonies so that more lives can be touched. Now, let me take you back into my story. My name is Kathryn. I am a nurse in Missouri, and I am in my late 40s. I thought I had seen enough sickness and death to make me strong, but the truth is that it only hardened my heart. The date everything started was October 14th, 2019. I was working a 12-hour night shift in Springfield. I had been running on energy drinks and hidden painkillers, pretending I was fine. Outwardly, I was respected, the dependable nurse, the one who never cracked. But when I went home, the mask fell off. I had grown up in church, but my faith was lukewarm. I read the Bible occasionally, said the right words, but I lived with anger buried deep in my soul. My father had died suddenly when I was young, and I never forgave God for it. Then, years later, my marriage fell apart, and I decided God had turned his face from me. So I turned my face from him too. I drowned myself in work and silence. I told myself I did not need God, yet my heart whispered otherwise when the nights grew cold. I was tired of wearing the cross on my neck while secretly cursing heaven in my heart. I was tired of smiling at patients' families while battling depression so dark that I wished I could trade places with the ones who had died. I felt numb, empty, and angry at everything. Looking back now, I see how blind I was. I thought God had abandoned me. In reality, I was walking away from him every single day. But what I did not know on that October night was that my own heart was about to stop. And when it did, I would discover a place so real, so horrifying, that it would change the course of my eternity forever.
It happened without warning. One moment, I was charting a patient's medication at the nurse's station, and the next, I felt a sharp pain shoot across my chest. My vision blurred, the pen slipped from my hand, and I heard a colleague shouting my name. I tried to answer, but the words would not form. My legs buckled, and I hit the floor hard. Everything around me began to fade. The voices, the alarms, the sterile smell of disinfectant, and then there was silence. At first, I thought I was simply unconscious, but then I realized I was sinking. It felt as if the ground had opened beneath me. The air turned heavy, thick with the stench of sulfur, and something worse, the smell of burning flesh. I tried to scream, but no sound left my mouth. All around me was darkness, yet it was not empty. It was alive, pressing in on me with a hatred I could feel in my bones. Then I heard them. Screams, endless, agonizing screams. Some were deep and guttural, others shrill and desperate. They echoed in the blackness, and each cry seemed to stab through my chest. My heart pounded as I stumbled forward, searching for light, for anything. That is when I saw the fire. It was not like fire on Earth. It was alive, twisting, clawing, stretching higher than any building I had ever seen. Inside it, figures writhed and wailed, their bodies melting and reforming, only to be consumed again. I wanted to run, but the ground beneath me was not solid. It was like hot stone, cracking under my feet. Every step seared my skin. And then, out of the shadows, they came. Demons. Their bodies were twisted and grotesque, part animal, part human, with eyes that burned like embers. They laughed as they circled me. One reached out, its claws scraping against my arm. I felt it, not just on my skin, but deep inside my spirit. The pain was beyond physical. It was shame, regret, every sin I had buried now dragged into the open. You thought you were good because you helped the sick, but your heart was black with hatred. Your pride was your god. Another leaned close, its breath reeking of decay. You belonged to us long before you came here. I tried to fight, to shout back, but my words turned to dust in the air. They grabbed me, pulling me toward the flames. Every scream around me grew louder, as if the souls trapped there were crying out a warning. My mind raced with regret. I remembered the times I had mocked God under my breath, the nights I had chosen pills over prayer, the bitterness I refused to let go of. And in that moment, I understood. I was not a visitor here. I was one of them. I fell to my knees, trembling. God, I finally cried out, though I did not believe he would hear me. Please, do not leave me here. The demons only laughed harder. One dragged its claw down my back, and I felt fire tearing into me. Another whispered, "He does not hear you. He never did." The darkness closed in, the fire roared louder, and I felt myself being pulled deeper into the pit. My heart shattered with the weight of hopelessness. This was not just punishment. This was forever. But then, in the middle of the torment, I felt something shift. A light, faint at first, broke through the suffocating darkness. The demons shrieked and recoiled, covering their faces. I lifted my head, and for the first time in what felt like eternity, I saw it. Hope. The light grew stronger, piercing through the suffocating dark like a blade. It was not like the fluorescent lights of the hospital or the violent glow of the flames. This light was alive, warm, and holy. As it spread, the demons shrieked and backed away, clawing at their own faces as if they could not bear to look at it. Their grip on me loosened, and for the first time since my descent, I could breathe. I collapsed onto the scorched ground, shaking, my body and spirit torn apart. And then I heard it. A voice, not loud, but steady, resonant, and full of authority that silenced every other sound. It was not the voice of an angel or a man. It was the voice of God. "Kathryn," the voice said, calling me by name, "your time has not yet come." Tears flooded my eyes, spilling down my face as I clutched my chest. I could barely speak, but my soul cried out, "Lord, why am I here? I thought I believed in you." There was a pause, and then the answer came, not with condemnation, but with heartbreaking truth. "You honored me with your lips, but your heart was far from me. You carried bitterness, pride, and unbelief. Sin chained you,
and you refuse my healing. But my mercy endures. I am giving you one more chance. Go back and tell them. Tell them I am real. Tell them hell is real. And tell them that my grace is still available." The light wrapped around me, lifting me out of the pit. The screams faded, the smell of sulfur vanished, and the heat that had burned my skin dissolved into a cool, gentle embrace. The next thing I knew, I gasped for air and opened my eyes. I was back in the hospital. Doctors and nurses hovering over me, their hands pressing on my chest. The monitor beeped, and I realized I had been gone, but now I was alive. Life after that night was never the same. I walked out of the hospital a different woman. The pills went into the trash. The bitterness I had carried for decades began to melt as I surrendered it to God. I sought forgiveness from people I had hurt, and I forgave those who had wounded me. My nursing career became more than a job. Every patient I touched, I remembered the souls I saw in hell, and I whispered silent prayers over their lives. My habits changed. The woman who once drowned her pain in silence and medication now filled her nights with worship and prayer. I opened my Bible again, not as a religious duty, but as my lifeline. I started speaking at my church, trembling at first, but bold when I remembered the words God spoke. Go back and tell them. I see sin differently now. It is not harmless. It is not small, and it is not something we can control. It is a chain, and it leads to the very place I visited. I see eternity differently too. Success, money, pride, even the praise of people. None of it matters when your soul is at stake. To you who are listening to my story, I must tell you the truth. Hell is real. God is real, and every choice you make draws you closer to one or the other. If you are living with bitterness, with secret sin, with unbelief, I beg you, do not wait until it is too late. One sentence has stayed in my heart since that night. The devil laughs at your pride, but heaven weeps for your soul. And another, the greatest lie of hell is that you have more time. Friends, you do not know if tonight is your last night. God gave me a second chance, but you may not get one. Surrender now. I want to leave you with a reflection. If God called you home today, would you be ready? Do you believe that He still gives second chances like He did for me? Drop your answers in the comments, share your reactions to my testimony, and let us talk about it together. Do not forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to this channel. Your support helps spread these life-changing messages farther than I ever could on my own. Because my story is not just mine, it is a warning. And it is a gift, and I pray that you take it seriously before eternity takes you by surprise.